Bakugo is hands down one of the most loved characters in My Hero Academia, which might sound surprising if you're meeting him for the first time. But here's the thing, it's not just an opinion, it's backed by fact. In nearly every My Hero Academia popularity poll, Bakugo consistently ranks at number 1, or at the very least stays in the top 3, outshining even fan favorites like Daddy Issues and Deku. So what's the deal? What makes this explosive, rough around the edges character so irresistible? Today we're going to be diving deep into Bakugo's appeal, using psychological theories to explain why fans are obsessed with him. From hidden layers to unexpected traits, there's definitely going to be a lot to unpack. And you might even pick up a few lessons from Bakugo along the way. So without further ado, let's get into it. There's no doubt about it, whether you love the guy or hate the guy, Bakugo is freaking cool. His explosion quirk, even though the inner workings are kinda disgusting, is one of the coolest abilities in the My Hero Academia verse. The fact that this guy can find a million ways to make something go boom is always just entertaining to watch. It's simple, but effective. Also, when you're watching most of Bakugo's fights, when he's not fighting guys who are overwhelmingly OP, it's just straight bully. But this is very important because this display of power makes watching Bakugo very cathartic. And catharsis is one of the reasons why people love this guy. Catharsis is an idea that goes all the way back to ancient Greece, and it's basically about having a good emotional release. Back then, people would watch tragic plays that made them feel strong emotions like sadness and fear. But instead of those feelings sticking around and weighing them down, the audience would experience a kind of emotional reset. It's kind of like watching an emotional movie today. It's an emotional roller coaster and you feel everything intensely. But by the end, you feel lighter, almost like you've let some of that emotional weight go. And that's catharsis in action. In a similar way, watching someone blow the ever-loving crap out of everything and everyone can cause people to experience something similar to that high-octane energy. And just like an adrenaline junkie, you get hooked. And it's why people find Bakugo so enthralling to watch. But it doesn't just end with his powers. If powers were all it took to create simps, then this guy would have simps. And if you simp for this man, I hear there's a cool new club that just opened up a spot for you called Prison. The second part of Bakugo's cool factor is his personality. The dude is confident and fearless. Maybe a bit too confident in the beginning, but I'll get into that later. I can't stress enough, confidence is absolutely key when it comes to having a magnetic personality. It's one of those traits that's universally appealing, whether it's in a conversation, body language, or just the way how someone carries themselves. Confidence can make a huge difference. People are naturally drawn to those who seem sure of themselves because it signals strength and security. If I ask you right now to think about some of the coldest scenes in anime history, a big part of what made that scene special is the confidence of the spotlight character. In fact, in 2007, a study gave us some really interesting insights into the power of confidence. The researchers found that people who have higher levels of self-confidence were rated as more physically attractive, even though their physical appearance didn't change at all. This study really shows how much confidence can shape the way others see us. It's not always about looks. How you carry yourself can actually boost your overall attractiveness in the eyes of others. In other words, this study proved that simps isn't DLC locked behind plastic surgery.
That is amazing.
In fact, a funny story that came into my head when I was reading this study was a while ago. On my Google feed, I saw a top 10 sexiest JJK characters, and naturally, my curiosity was piqued. Surprisingly, the list put Yuji as 6th and Sukuna as 2nd, even though they look the exact same.
Huh?
But given what we just found out, they're not the same. The difference is confidence.
Do you want to stay with Donald Trump?
Hello, motherfucker.
And if you're wondering who was number 1, obviously it was Gojo. But getting back on topic, there have been several other studies that highlight the same thing. Confidence is often linked to a range of positive traits. For example, confidence was shown to be connected with qualities like competence, dominance, and higher social status. In these studies, people saw confident individuals as capable, successful, and socially skilled. All of these traits combined made confident people seem more attractive, and therefore, more simp-worthy. Which ultimately means having one trait gives you like 50 extra points on your simpability score. With confidence covered, let's get into another reason why people generally like the Bakugo type, and it's the allure of the anti-hero. While Bakugo isn't necessarily an anti-hero, he definitely has a lot of anti-hero elements to his personality. And as human beings, we freaking love anti-heroes. We really are a society of edgelords. And it totally makes sense. Over time, society's views on heroes have shifted. We've moved from wanting to watch these paragons of virtue, perfect, untouchable characters who can always save the day without breaking a sweat, to being more drawn to flawed heroes. Today, we're more interested in characters who aren't perfect, who have their own internal struggles, who deal with personal battles just like the rest of us. There's something relatable and authentic about seeing someone who's still figuring things out, making mistakes, and growing along the way. It makes the highs and lows of their journey feel more real. or a better way to put it, it makes their journey feel more human. In real life, there are no heroes and villains, just people with different goals and different personalities. And a lot of those times, those goals and personalities clash. Traditional heroes often embody an idealized version of humanity, which can feel unattainable or distant for a regular person. This is why people find certain Superman stories so hard to relate with. Unless you're a god among men, how can you relate to Superman? Anti-heroes, on the other hand, have weaknesses, vices, and inner struggles, making them more like the rest of us. Bakugo wants to be a hero. His heart's in the right place, and his intentions are noble, but his execution is a little bit off the mark. But that's why we can't help but like him. In real life, no one is perfect, and I'm sure you yourself are suspicious of anyone try-harding to seem perfect. Bakugo isn't your typical hero. He's loud, he's brash, and he often doesn't care about what others think, and yet he's still deeply committed to being a hero. Psychologically, Bakugo violates social norms, and that's something people find alluring. Remember what I said in the beginning about catharsis and living vicariously? The same is true for rule breakers. We tend to admire people who stand outside the norm and confidently embody who they are, without conforming to society's many expectations. Bakugo's not trying to impress anyone other than himself. And in today's society where everyone has to conform, everyone has to wear a mask, everybody's grinding to seem like they're a part of the cool kids club online, watching someone unapologetically not give a shit and just be themselves is simp-worthy. With that being said, the next reason people are absolutely drawn to Bakugo is something I guarantee you didn't see coming. Let's dive a little bit into dark psychology. While Bakugo's explosive personality might seem like a turn-off at first, there's actually a psychological pull to characters who have darker traits in them. It taps into something deeper in human nature that's hard to explain, but I'm gonna break it down for you. In psychology, there's this concept known as a dark triad, which is made up of 3 distinct but interconnected personality traits that are generally seen as socially harmful. The traits are as follows. Narcissism. This is all about grandiose entitlement and an intense need for admiration. Narcissists often find an inflated sense of self-importance and a deep desire to be recognized as superior. Machiavellianism. This is about manipulation and deceit. People high in this trait are strategic and will do whatever it takes to achieve their goals, even if it means stepping on others to get there. And lastly, psychopathy, associated with impulsivity and a lack of empathy and antisocial behavior. Psychopaths involve a fearless, often reckless personality. Psychopaths usually don't feel guilt or remorse, which makes them even more especially dangerous. After looking at this list, you should be able to see a lot of the elements of the dark triad apply to Bakugo, especially early Bakugo. And before people say psychopathy is a bit of a stretch to put on this man, my retort would be, my brother in Christ, have you seen the way how this guy fights his friends? Then again, gotta give it to him, it's not like his teachers set a good example. So, why is any of what I said important? Firstly, subscribe, please, it means a lot. Secondly, human beings are very, very weird, and in a weird twist of fate, people can actually be attracted to dark traits for a plethora of reasons. From an evolutionary standpoint, dark triad traits, particularly psychopathy, are associated with higher short-term mating success. People with these traits tend to engage in behaviors that make them more attractive for short-term, non-committed relationships. The confidence, boldness, and disregard for the rules can often be alluring for short-term flings. It's like the thrill of danger and excitement draws people in, even if they might not realize why. Don't believe me? Oddly enough, there are multiple studies that show women have a preference for short-term relationships with these kinds of people. And if you've ever had the misfortune of reading a Bakugo X Reader fanfic, you kinda know what that writer was about. I won't lie, dark psychology is a massive can of worms, and there's no way I can fully dive into all of it in this video. But if you're interested in exploring it further, let me know in the comments down below, and I'd be happy to cover it in a future video. Because trust me, there's a lot more to unpack when it comes to these darker traits and why people find them so fascinating. But I want you to pay close attention to what I'm about to say next. If Bakugo was just an asshole with no redeemable traits, he wouldn't be a hero. He would be a villain. He would have no fans, no simps, and he wouldn't be best girl if you squint your eyes really, really tight.
Weird.
In fact, one of Bakugo's most desirable traits is his vulnerability. Bakugo is definitely a what you see is what you get kind of guy. He's got plenty of flaws and insecurities, and the people around him are very well aware of them. We've seen his inferiority complex rear its ugly head. We've watched him struggle to make genuine friends. He's far from perfect, and what's interesting is that he knows it. Bakugo is fully aware of his limitations and shortcomings, and as the story progresses, we see him actively working to fix those issues. He starts mending the problems his aggressive nature nature is caused, which makes his growth all the more compelling. This self-awareness and willingness to improve is a huge part of why fans love him. It's relatable and shows that even the toughest characters have room to grow. I'm sure everyone can relate to this on some level. Having a part of your personality or something about yourself that you don't like, facing that harsh reality and working towards becoming a better version of yourself. It's a journey we've all taken at some point in our lives. And when we see someone else going through that same struggle, we naturally get drawn to it. When you've been in that position yourself, it's easy to root for someone who's in a similar situation. You recognize their battle, and that connection makes you want to see them succeed. It turns you into a fan. As you've probably picked up from this video, the crazy thing about likability is that humans aren't attracted to perfection. We're attracted to each other's rough edges, the flaws, the struggles, the things that make us real. And that's exactly why characters like Bakugo resonate with so many people. And when it comes to rough edges, how do you get rougher than this cute little rage ball? Okay, lastly, I'm gonna go over this really quickly because I already know it would be impossible not to. Yes, Bakugo is physically attractive, and that's a huge reason why he has psychological appeal with a lot of the fan base. Just don't be weird about it. Remember, he's 15. To neatly summarize how Bakugo makes simps, it's because he's confident in himself, a trait that's pretty much universally attractive, seeks only his own approval, and doesn't let others distract him or deter him from his goal of being a hero. He's vulnerable and aware of his shortcomings, and actively works to better himself. And lastly, he goes brrr and makes shit go boom. I really hope you enjoyed this video. I had an absolute blast making it, and if you did enjoy it, it would really mean the world to me if you could subscribe. I'm a small fish YouTuber trying to grow in this massive ocean of a platform, and your sub makes significantly more of a difference to my channel than any other at the moment. If you sub, I guarantee more fun and insightful videos like this in the future, and I'll be sending a thank you kitten to your house. Don't worry specifically about when it will come, just trust it will come one day. With that being said, this has been Meta, you've been amazing. Until next time, stay safe, stay blessed, and I will see you in another video. Peace.